Hi everybody, thanks for showing up today. Today's class is going to be all about getting into the core, and it's going to be a pretty subtle core exercises. We're not going to be doing any like big crunches or anything like that, but we're going to be doing movements that engage the core to help you with balance and to help you with transitions. So we're going to get started today on our backs. Go ahead and roll down onto your back. And start by bringing your knees into your chest. Just give yourself a big squeeze. You can close your eyes and start to check in with your breath. Take this moment here to grab onto opposite elbows or opposite forearms and pull your knees into your chest so that you get almost your entire back except for the low neck. Almost your entire back is nice and flat. Send extra breath to the back ribs. And then if your eyes are closed, blink your eyes open. Lift your head, neck, and shoulders off the mat. Release your arms in front of you and extend your left leg long. Okay, so we're just going to be here holding for a moment. Your foot can be all the way down on the ground if you want a little bit less sensation. For more sensation, your foot is a couple inches off the mat. Pull your belly towards your spine. Reach through both sets of toes. And now start to extend your right leg straight up so that your legs look like the capital letter L. Lift up maybe 1 more inch away from the ground. And now start to twist so that you bring both arms to the outside of your right leg. Lift both shoulder blades off the mat, holding here for 5, 4, keep squeezing your inner thighs together, keep reaching through the toes. And release, come back to center, hug both knees into the chest, give yourself just a moment. And then switch sides. Head, neck, and shoulders come off the mat. You can reach your arms forward. Extend your right leg forward, a couple inches off the mat. Keep reaching through the toes. Pull the belly down towards the spine. Keep your breath moving. Now extend your left leg straight up towards the sky. Engage both legs. Lift up maybe 1 millimeter higher. Soften your shoulders so you don't want to be crunching through the neck and shoulders. Reaching through the toes. And now take a little bit of a twist, both arms to the outside of the left leg. Lift your left shoulder blade up just a bit more. Keep breathing here. We're here for 5. Squeeze your inner thighs towards one another, but keep your legs nice and steady. And release, come back to center. Bring your knees into your chest, give yourself a squeeze. You can find some movement side to side if you'd like. Start to find a little bit of movement, rocking forwards and backwards. We're gonna meet in downward facing dog. If you'd like to spend a couple moments in cat-cow just to get the spine warmed up, you're welcome to do that. Taking a few cat-cow movements, maybe moving your hips in circles. I like to generally do semicircles here, so kind of sweeping forward and then scooch the hips over to the right and back over to the left. And when you're ready, plant your hands directly under your shoulders and extend both legs back so that you're in a high plank position. This is where your hands and feet will stay. You want to keep them not too much shorter than this, not too much further apart than this. And now hips to the sky for downward facing dog. You can have your knees bent if that feels better on the low back and the hamstrings, and start to press into your hands to lift your tailbone away from the shoulders. Rotate the outer arms down and away from each other. And now maybe play around with straightening the legs. Keep breathing. And start to bring your right leg up to the sky. As you exhale, we're going to draw the knee towards the right tricep. Here's where we're going to do a little bit of core. So now bring your knee over to the left tricep, back to the right, back to the left, back to the right, one more time, to the left, to the right. Now bring it to center and step your foot between your hands for a low lunge. You can bend and straighten your knees, your right leg a few times if you'd like. Get nice and steady in the lower body. Squeeze the inner thighs towards one another, pull the belly away from the spine. Rise up to Anjaneyasana, crescent lunge. Engage your left leg a lot. Get all the way on the tippy toes. have to keep my gaze here. So get all the way on the tippy toes of the left leg. And then imagine that your left hand is pressing into the back of your left thigh. Press your thigh back into your leg. Draw your low ribs in, gaze at one point. We're going to transition from here into one leg mountain. As you transition, you'll draw your hands to heart. So press into the right foot and transition to one leg mountain. So again, we're working on the core in those transitions. Stay right here, or for more challenge, arms to the sky, leg extends forward for 3, 2, take it to figure 4. Cross left ankle to right knee, bring hands back to heart, and start to sit low. Make sure you are flexing through the left toes. Keep your left knee lifted so that your hips stay nice and level. Lead with the right hip, sit 1 inch lower. You got it. Check in with your breath. Just to transition, come back to the one leg mountain and then sweep it all the way back for airplane pose. Draw your shoulder blades to touch, reach back through the left toes rather. Press down into your right foot. And we're going to transition to chair. Left foot meets the right, arms come up by biceps by the ears. Sit your hips down and back and pull your belly towards your spine. Option to stay here or take it into drinking bird. Sweep your arms back and now come up onto your tippy toes. If you've got this balance, see if you can bring your arms back up to the sky while keeping your heels lifted. Take a breath in and exhale, forward fold, release the heels. Take it all the way down to a forward fold. Halfway lift, inhale. And we're simply going to step the left foot back so you're in a low lunge again. Now crawl around to the left side and take it into a wide leg forward fold. Turn your heels, your toes in just slightly closer than your heels. So if you check your feet, you want to make sure that the outer edge of your feet is parallel with the top and back edge of your space. Crawl your fingertips a little closer underneath you, but keep pulling your shoulder blades onto your back. Lift your inner arches. Press your inner thighs back and wide, crown of the head towards the ground. Inhale, come up halfway. Rock around towards the left foot this time. So now you're facing the back of your space. Plant your hands and step it back to a high plank. Hold your high plank. Keep breathing. Press the ground away from you. Draw your shoulders away from your ears. And hips high, downward facing dog. Take a moment here, see how your body feels. And then let's move into the other side. Bring your left leg high to the sky. Exhale, knee towards the left tricep. Bring it over to the right, back to the left, back to the right, to the left. One more time, you got this. Right, left. Now bring it into center and step your foot in between your hands. Take a moment here. Again, you can get into the hamstrings a little bit. Notice how this side feels compared to the right leg. A lot of times you may notice that you have a dominant side. One leg might be a little more open and cooperative than the other. And that's totally normal, totally fine. We just notice and observe as much as possible without judgment. And now come back to your low lunge. Engage your right leg a lot. Rise up to crescent lunge. Press back through the right thigh. Engage the whole right leg. Soften through the shoulders. You don't want to be wearing your shoulders as earrings. They are not accessories. And now from here, we're going to transition again. You're going to bring the hands to heart center as you lift the right leg. A little harder to balance on this carpet than it is in a traditional yoga room that has a nice solid floor. And now if you want to kick out, arms to the sky, start kicking through the right heel. Pull the belly to spine. And now take it into figure 4. Cross right ankle to left knee. Sit the hips down and back. Pull the belly to the spine, shoulders away from the ears. And make sure your right toes are pulling back towards your right knee stays lifted, left hip lowers. Rise back up to that one leg mountain just to transition. And now sweep it back to full airplane. Take your transitions nice and slow here. Roll the right inner thigh towards the sky, reach through the right toes. Lift the left hip up, right hip lower, so the hips stay nice and level. And the transition is to chair pose. Right foot meets the left, arms to the sky. Sit the hips down and back. Stay here or take it into drinking bird. Once again, arms sweep back. Heels can lift. Lower your hips to meet your heels. And now sweep your arms overhead, keeping the heels lifted. Yep, you got it. Squeeze your inner thighs, inner ankles, and fold forward. Release the heels. Halfway lift, inhale. And then step your right foot back. Walk all the way around towards the right. This time we're gonna rise up to horse pose. Actually rising up to star to start. So you can give yourself little spirit sprinkles here. I like to give myself a little energy. And then draw your hands to heart center for horse. Push your knees back just slightly. Little nice C curve still in the low back. So you don't want to be scooping your booty under too much. But nice C curve in the low back. Settle low through the hips. And then to work into the core here, arms overhead. You're going to start to fold over to one side. Notice if your upper shoulder starts to collapse, that's not what we want. We want to fold over to the side, straight lateral fold, and then exhale, come back to center, fold over to the other side. Get a nice stretch through the upper body. Inhale back to center. Couple more. Gonna come back to center. Exhale, hands to heart. Turn your toes in. Just one time, we're gonna fold down. Come up to about a halfway lift. Pivot around towards the front leg. Plant your hands. Step the right foot back to meet the left. Here we are in high plank once again. Keep breathing. Pull your belly to spine, shoulders away from the ears. Smile on your face because we're having fun. And exhale, hips to the sky. Pause for just a moment. And then drop down onto your knees. I'm going to turn to face you guys. You can stay facing however you want. So from here, you're in kind of a tabletop position. Take your right leg up and over. We're going to come into a cow face pose. Bring your feet nice and wide all the way outside of your hips so that you have enough space to sit down and you're not sitting on your heels. If this is too much, you can take it into a figure 4 with the right ankle crossed to the left knee. Otherwise, right knee is stacked. Your knee can be all the way up here as long as your knees are in one line. Maybe you're here. Once you've got this, simply close your eyes and start to breathe. Notice how your body feels. If there's any place in your body, usually for me, it's right here in the outer hips. If there's any place where you're really noticing some extra sensation right now, imagine that with every exhale, you are also not just releasing the breath from your lungs, but you're also releasing any of the tension from your hips. We have about 5 more breaths here on this side. I've got my eyes closed, but if you don't want to have your eyes closed, you can always keep your eyes open and gaze down at about a 45-degree angle right on the ground. It's a nice calming gaze. Take one more breath. Your eyes are closed, blink them open. Plant your hands. Come back to that kind of tabletop with your legs crossed, and then switch out the legs. Right leg uncrosses, left leg comes open, up and over. Widen your feet before you sit your hips back and down. And then hips come back and down for cow face pose. I always wonder why this is called cow face. I guess this is the cow's like little mouth, and these are his ears or her ears. I don't know. But anyway, notice how this side feels. So a lot of times, like we said before, a lot of times the hips can be different from right to left. We tend to have a dominant side. So if on this side, you need to do just figure four, I don't mean just figure four is pretty challenging. Or if your knees are not exactly level, that's totally fine. I can pretty much guarantee you won't walk in circles if you do a different pose on the right leg than the left. If you do, don't be mad at me. And then from here, close your eyes and let everything begin to settle. Get curious. Where do you feel this on this side? Where are you feeling sensations? We have 3 more breaths here together. Gently blink your eyes open, crawl your fingers forward, uncross your legs, and bring your feet so that you're about hip width distance apart. So your feet are going to be, knees are going to be about this far apart. I'm going to again turn sideways here, and then hands come to the low back. So we're going to come into camel pose. And I like to keep my toes curled under. You can point your toes if that feels better to you. I just like to keep the toes curled under. It gives me a little bit more movement through the lower body. So as you're here, start to just very, very gently shift your hips forward. Make sure your hips stay directly over the knees. Draw your shoulder blades to touch. Start to lift your heart. This is not a back bend, you guys. This is a front lengthening pose. So how long can you be from your knees to your shoulders? If you collapse back like that, that does nothing for your low back. You're not going to be able to be one of those women who are like 97 years old and doing yoga on the when they're still 97, okay? So we want to make sure hands are here, shoulder blades back. Lift the heart up, gaze up. The eyebrows and the forehead are not a part of this pose. So soften your eyes, soften your forehead. Bring a smile to your face. Let the breath flow naturally. Get really long from knees to shoulders. Take one more inhale. Draw your shoulder blades and elbows closer together. Use your next inhale to bring you back up. Neutral spine. Point your toes if they're not already. Settle your hips to your heels and bring your hands to heart. You can close your eyes if you'd like. It's pretty common to feel a little bit nauseated, maybe a little dizzy after that pose. We're compressing just slightly, ever so slightly, the kidneys. Plus just having the head back like that, exposing our heart and all of our organs. That can sometimes cause us to have a little bit of stress response. So slow down the breath. And gently blink the eyes open. Plant your hands on either side. You can swivel your feet to one side, and we're going to come to a seated position. We're going to get into seated forward fold a little bit differently than you may normally have done this. So bend your knees as much as you need to so that you can take your pointer and middle finger around the big toe. Draw your shoulder blades back and down, heart lifts. And then from here, start to press the heels away from you. The heels are not wanting to slide today. But as you press the heels away from you, you'll notice that your torso starts to fold. Go to that place where you can feel sensation on the back body, but you're not totally rounding and collapsing like this. You want to keep the heart lifted, shoulders back and down. Pull the chest forward. Keep your neck neutral, so it's neither down like this nor all the way looking up like that. Neutral neck. Reach your heels away from you. Keep pulling your toes back. And now maybe start to bend the elbows a little bit more and take it just a tad bit deeper. Again, you'll notice that I'm kind of keeping my neck in line. I'm not folding completely over the legs. I'm letting the legs do most of the work here. Legs and a little bit in the biceps. And now release your grip as you come up. Get a nice neutral spine. Bend your knees. Come down onto your back. We're going to keep the feet here about hip width distance apart. Tee out the arms, or you can have them in a cactus. You can either have them wide or in a cactus, either one. Draw your shoulder blades just a little bit closer together on the back. And now begin to drop your knees over towards the left side of the room. So my feet are still about hip width distance apart. It may feel nice to take your left foot on top of your right knee. You don't have to do that. That gets a little bit more into the low back. So I'm actually going to keep my foot on the ground and just have a simple twist here. If it feels okay on your head, neck, and shoulders, you can gaze over your right shoulder. Then inhale, come back to center with everything. And exhale, knees over to the right. And again, right foot can come on top of your left knee if that feels okay. Sometimes that stretch feels good. Sometimes it's a little much. So just notice how it feels in your body. And again, if it feels okay, your head can turn over towards your left shoulder. Inhale everything back to center. Extend your legs long. Extend your arms long. Palms up. Shoulder blades a little close together. And once you're here, setting up for Shavasana, take a huge exhale and let everything completely float down into the ground. Bring your attention to your toes, wiggle out your toes, and allow your feet to relax. You can take a little wiggle with your whole lower body, and then allow your legs to soften. Check in if there's any place from your hips down where you're still engaging the muscles, and let that go. Watch the rise and fall of your belly as you breathe in and out. See if you can feel your heart beating in your chest. Wiggle out your fingers just a bit until everything is relaxed. Relax your jaw, relax the space between your eyebrows. See if you can get your body completely still so that the only thing that's moving is your chest and your belly as your inhale and exhale return back to their natural pace. You are welcome to stay here for as long as you'd like. Thank you so much for showing up today to take care of yourself. From the light and love in me to you, namaste.